final Friday of the regular season. An end to gridiron dreams for some and a new beginning for others. Tonight, Greg Tepper and I break down the playoff scenarios district by district. Who's in and who's out? All eyes on H-Town as two top 5 teams square off in a Manville-sized 6A showdown. While the DQ Big Game of the Week takes us to the Panhandle, where the sandstorms of Amarillo have been blowing through the competition. Keep 25 5A weird. We'll sort out the Austin district, where Vista Ridge has been enjoying their view from the top of the standings. And we pay tribute to the seniors who will buckle a helmet one final time tonight. Scoreboard Live somersaults your way next. Welcome into high school Scoreboard Live, where yes, regular football season is a wrap here in the state of Texas as we now prepare for playoff season. Helping me do so tonight, my running backs, Craig Way, Greg Tepper. I'm going to attempt to fill in for our starting quarterback, Rick Renner, tonight. It's still plenty of questions, as you guys know, heading into this playoff season. We do know, though, that Fort Worth Trimble Tech, first time to see the playoffs since '89. We also have a winless team in Scarborough. And for you, biggest headline heading into it?
Well, I think the thing is, only in Texas can you see a team go 8-2 and miss the playoffs and a team go 0-10 and make the playoffs. But remember, of course, there are around 1,400 high schools playing football in the state of Texas. So, Tep, there's going to be some anomalies.
Yeah, I just love the drama of Week 11. I just love the fact that we've got the playoffs come early. You know, for a lot of teams, it was winning in, you got to get in, or you want to improve your seed. We've talked about how you want every game in district matters, never more so than in Week 11.
No doubt about it. And, of course, that's the exciting time of year getting ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually take a look now at playoff scenarios, particularly in the San Antonio region here. What surprises or maybe jumps out to you fellas here on this?
What I love about 27-6A is the concept, that they break it up into zones. Brennan and Brandeis won their zones and therefore clinched spots in the playoffs. Then Stevens and Warren, O'Connor and Clark had to play their way into the playoffs. I love the way 27-6A is set up.
Yeah, and had Brennan and Brandeis going head-to-head, which added kind of some topping to it all.
Crazy.
And you see there, O'Connor-Warren was certainly a key game tonight. O'Connor, the second-place team in Zone B from District 27-6A. Warren, the third-place team in the D from the OC, getting after it earlier. Javier Olivier, Tim Scurry, and then Jared Brunken all in on that sack. Disaster for Warren. Of course, Dale Godfrey with the pick, and that's a pick 6 for a 13-0 lead here. Warren would go on, of course, to win this one, guys. And no surprise, really, there, or rather, O'Connor, 34-0, the final there.
Meanwhile, you had Brennan and Brandeis, the big showdown in the district. Deshaun Key held out due to injury, so Tavion Tollfree got the start. 2-0 as a starter, and you look at Jalen Collier, instead on the fake, takes it 53 yards instead of the punt, 14-7 Bears for the half. Now, Brennan up, 21-17 in the fourth. Brandeis driving, however, this fourth turnover of the game forced by Brennan, and the 7th between the two teams as Brennan wins it 21-17. Coach Baser getting the path there.
Yeah, absolutely a great win for them, and that vaults them into the playoffs. They were already in the playoffs. Now they get the top seed out of Division II. They will join Brandeis in Division II. San Antonio O'Connor and San Antonio Stevens go to Division I.
So it's been the eternal question all season long. Who would survive, let alone thrive, out of District 25-5A? You had the annual favorites there, Cedar Park and Georgetown. You had the upstarts in Vandergrift and Eastview. And then you had Vista Ridge charging from out of nowhere to grab the district lead. So all of this fighting going on, the only school to have clinched a playoff spot was Vista going into Week 10. So what would happen? Well, let's take a look at District 25-5A in week number 11. And that, of course, means Cedar Park needing probably to win to stay alive and taking it to Vista Ridge as Amir Alzer on the keeper. And it's 35-14 T-Wolves with a half. Second half, it's Tyler Levine, and he's going to run over Parker Stalling. And that was quite the hit as you get another look at it right here. And then Alzer on the option, then would take it in and gets into the end zone. Cedar Park with a flourish wins at 49-21. Now, What does this all mean in terms of the district? Here's the who's in and who's out. You see the teams that are in. Vista Ridge will be the top seed in the D1 bracket. That's because Vandegrift won, and we hope to bring you some highlights of this later, at Georgetown. Get this, 63-62 in regulation. Georgetown going for 2 in the waning seconds and not being able to convert. So Vandy gets in as the runner-up in the D1 bracket, Cedar Park top seed in the D2 bracket, and Eastview the runner-up in the Division II bracket.
Let's stay in Austin where Reagan and Crockett, these two play for the final playoff spot in District 26-5A. Looking to join McCallum, LBJ, and Bastrop, and it's Crockett who strikes first. Justin Miller off the left side, and he is virtually untouched. 36 yards, 7-0 Cougs. Reagan answers. DeAndre Lott making a lot of nice moves here. 11-yard touchdown, extra point failed, 7-6 Cougars still. Later, it's Miller time again. He breaks it to the outside. He will get into the end zone. Austin Reagan, the smallest team in the district, makes the playoffs for the first time since 2003.
That's a huge win for Reagan. How huge? Well, like you said, since 2003, they've been through some really tough times over there in East Austin. It's a great story there at Reagan High. So here are your bi-district matchups at 5A or 5A Division I. You're going to have LBJ and Vista Ridge in the bi-district round. This is a rematch of a regular season game. The Vista won only 23-19. Then you'll have Vandegrift against Austin McCallum. You will have Cedar Park against Reagan, and then the other teams getting an Eastview against Bastrop in the bi-district round.
To think there was a chance Cedar Park would have missed the playoffs had they not won tonight, but that one with Reagan is going to be a barn burner till the end, I'm sure. We are just getting started here on High School Scoreboard Live. Up next, more playoff projections as we continue to form our playoff brackets. Yes, it's that time of year, and we love it. We're back with our Texas high school football gurus after this.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford. Has the best offers on the best-selling trucks in Texas. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By DQ, the stop sign of Texas, for the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. Stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state.
Let's roll out the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. These are some of the guys we've kept an eye on for the prestigious honor. Dalton Banks, of course, leading things off. His stock rising at Alamo Heights, while Elgin's Kyle Snell is fun to watch. His identical twin brother, Colin, is his favorite receiver, he says. Sox, J.F. Thomas is TCU bound. What a steal for the Frogs. He is a playmaker. And Brian Moore is one of the most exciting juniors in the state. You can nominate your favorite player at playeroftheweek.com. They'll be featured every Saturday morning at 8:30 right here on Fox Sports Southwest with, of course, the great Rick Renner and Randy Rogers. Meanwhile, entering Friday, we saw various scenarios in the Dallas-Fort Worth. Craig, take us through what we expected.
Well, the only thing we knew for sure was that Hillcrest had wrapped up the top seed in D2, but Creekview and Newman Smith were going in D1. You still had Woodrow Wilson and Brian Adams alive, and of course, they were going head-to-head.
Yeah, and the Wilson-Adams games are the ones you live for. It's the pre-playoff game. Win and you're in, lose and you're going home. A lot of pressure on both teams.
All right, speaking of Adams and Wilson, again, a big barn burner matchup here tonight. First quarter, Tracy James running it in for the Wilson touchdown there to put Wilson on the board first. Still in that first. DeMonte Bright on the keep, runs it in to give Wilson a 2-touchdown lead. Meanwhile, in the second quarter, Bright would fire downfield to Charleston Rambo for the long touchdown pass. It would be 20-7 Wilson, and Rambo obviously with some legs there in the fourth quarter. Bright then would connect with Rambo again. This one would make it 33-14 and essentially seal the deal there for Wilson. 33-14 your final.
Creekview and Newman Smith staying in 11-5A. We get right to the action. It's going to be a low snap for the Trojans. And Johnny on the spot is Randall Pavilion, who picks it up, and he is going to rumble and stumble. And I don't want to spoil the highlight for you, but nobody's going to catch him. All the way to the house. Creekview had control of this game. They beat Newman Smith 17-10. take the top D1 seed.
So there it is right there. Creekview top seed there. Newman Smith the runner-up. Hillcrest top seed D2. And Woodrow getting that D2 runner-up.
And meanwhile, keeping it in the Dallas-Fort Worth guys. I know Denton Ryan, Denton Geyer, no love lost between these two, a crosstown rivalry.
Actually, let me interrupt you here. We got Mesquite Horn and Lake Highlands. The Wildcats taking on the Jaguars. We pick up action in the second half. Quarterback Chris Robinson hits Lincoln Warren with a dart in the back of the end zone. Mesquite up early. Then Mesquite Horn up. Then Lake Highlands answers. It's Brock Jones finding Jamaris Preston, and he is all alone. That's right. Strolling in the red zone. Touchdown, Wildcats. But just too much Horn in this one. Jordan Shavers. That's a beautiful fake for that quarterback, but he hands it off to Jordan Shavers. Gets around the corner for the end zone. Horn would go on to roll to a 49-34 win. Now,
so that was a good game. This one, maybe not so much. Geyer under Sean Robinson doing work tonight. Crosstown rivals. We pick it up in the second. Geyer with a significant lead and the ball. Quarterback Sean Robinson to Adam Scott there on the bomb. And great Scott with the great move there to shake the defender. Geyer up big 28-0. Then Ryan with a little fight and running back Maurice Gordon takes the handoff up the middle and he down. Ryan finally on the board, but just too much from Geyer tonight. This time it's running back Myron Mason with the draw. He'll get in the zone. Geyer goes on to win big 52-7 your final there. Really no surprise either looking at that one. We knew Geyer was going to see the playoffs and see a big win over Denton Ryan. How far does this Geyer team go in your mind?
Well, at least round two, because round two would be the probable matchup you might think with South Lake Carroll. Now, a couple of things you need to know about 7-6A, and South Lake Carroll winning, going 10-0. A little Jordan Humphrey, by the way, becoming the all-time regular season rushing leader in Carroll Dragon history. Some pretty impressive names on that list when you think about it. And they're going to play Mansfield in the bi-district round, but it looked, Greg Tepper, like it was going to be Cedar Hill in the bi-district round.
Yes, for a moment there, Cedar Hill was on the ropes and very nearly coughed it up against South Grand Prairie. Scores a last-second touchdown to avoid South Lake Carroll in the first round. But that's 7-6A, 8-6A matchups. They're going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, DeSoto gets Coppell again, and I can tell you firsthand, Coppell fans are very sick of seeing DeSoto in the first round.
We say it all the time with Coach Bristol. It's just not fair. Some semifinal caliber games in the opening round will be a fun week next week. And I'll tell you this much, would not want to be at Joey McGuire's practices this week. Meanwhile, we're going to take a quick break here on High School Scoreboard Live. But up next, we still have yet to touch on 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A. Those projections with our gurus next on High School Scoreboard Live.
Big log jam fighting for playoff spots in 21-6A below Galena Park North Shore. It included these two, LaPorte and Channelview in the first quarter. Channelview at the Bulldog 20, but Jalen Hurt flings it into the end zone. Touchdown Falcons. Game tied at 7. Now 10-7 LaPorte. Second quarter, Bulldogs respond. Austin Upshaw on that option keeper. 55 yards, 17-14 LaPorte at the half. After a couple of LaPorte field goals, made it 30-20. Dogs put the capper on late in the game. Nathan Red, 22 yards in. Bulldogs win at 36-20, denying Channelview a trip to the postseason yet again.
Battle of unbeatens in this one. Manville and Pearland will start first play from scrimmage. It's De'Aaron King. Remember that name. He finds Matthew Adams down the seam for a 40-yard touchdown pass to get things started. Mavericks happy 7-0. Then first quarter, King finds Reggie Hemphill on a beautiful stutter and go. Touchdown, Manville makes it 14-3. 30 seconds later, Manville has the ball again due to a recovered fumble, and it's King again. 38 yards, 21-3 Manville leading it. So it's over, right? No. 3.5 minutes left. Pearland dives in with Davier Pinkston for the 3-yard touchdown. Now, the 2-point conversion, ever important. The reverse pass intercepted at the goal line. Manville survives Pearland 35-33. The Mavericks finish the regular season 10-0.
How about in 5A, huh? We pick up with C.E. King taking on Crosby, and just before the half, game tied at 7. Crosby's Tristan Cotton all day to throw, finds a wide-open Craig Williams here. Williams would go ahead and score. Cougars take a 14-7 halftime lead in the third. Crosby still up on King's first possession. Jonathan Brantley bubble screen to Desmond Coleman. Dives in, ties it up at 14. Then Trey Williams busts one big, breaks 2 tackles there, gets to the edge. He going 72 yards all the way to the Crosby 3. From there,
Mr. Williams would go ahead and finish it off with a nice little 3-yarder as King beats Crosby 28-21. And keeping it in 5A, we now bring in our guy, Ahmad Vital of Scout.com, who is on hand for North Shore and Port Arthur Memorial tonight. We know PA Memorial will not advance. North Shore, however, will. From what you saw tonight, what sort of playoff contender can we expect to see in North Shore, Ahmad?
Well, you're going to see a North Shore team that's focused and looking to make some things happen tonight. As I spoke with some of the coaches over there at North Shore, they're like, it wasn't our prettiest game, and a lot of times this season it hasn't been the prettiest that they would have liked. But Memorial didn't go down. Memorial went down swinging and wanted to make sure that to turn into a game, and for the most part did. North Shore came out and made quite a few plays. Makai Long connected quite a few times with Darius Mouton for some good scores, and these guys came out and put up enough points and made enough plays to be able to come away with the win.
Ahmad, it's kind of fun, as always, to ask you about Katy, and they've got that fun matchup with Cinco tomorrow, even though they go their separate ways when they get to the playoffs. How deep can Katy be? Are they once more, again, legitimate Region 3 favorite and state championship contender in Division 2?
Craig, I love when you guys ask me that question, and trust that when I get out into the streets, everybody always points and asks, why are we always talking about Katy? And I'll say the same thing I've always said until somebody proves otherwise. Katy is still the king of the block. I think that there's going to be a lot of fireworks tomorrow because apparently there's some video that's gone viral that some of the guys out in West Houston made to just kind of get everything sparked up. But, Katy's still going to be Katy. That's how deep they're going to go. If I had to guess right now, Katy will be right back at Jerry's World where it's always been for many years because, from the last 4 to 5 years, that's kind of been, the calling card as to what Katy does each year. Strong on both sides of the ball, the running game with Rodney Anderson, and Kyle Porter has still been decent all year. And other than the slip up at the Woodlands, which actually woke that team up, that team is still dominant, and it's still until proven otherwise, that team is still going to be the team in the greater Houston area.
Speaking of controlling the block, award-winning author Ahmad Vital of Scout.com. As always, appreciate the insight, buddy. Look forward to your write-up on Scout.com. How about the Super Syntax? I feel like they need some love from us. We'll show you their highlights, plus more playoff projections in 4A, 3A, and 2A coming up on High Scoreboard Live.
To the Super Syntex 17-5A championship on the line. Temple at home, and those state-ranked Cats hosting the other Wildcats from Elgin, but it's Temple Marcus Hatcher in for the touchdown to go up 7-0, and then after recovering a forced fumble, Hatcher again, 23 yards to the house. Temple on top by a score of 14-0. And how about more ground game for Temple? It's Jeff Carr. Bigger run this time. 47 yards, third-ranked team in the state. Boy, Mike Spradlin's ball club looks good. Beat Elgin 42-14.
Without Chad President either, who sat out the game with a knee injury. And you look at this 17-5A, Temple and Elgin. That's a very loaded district. It's going to come down to who can find some defense. There hasn't been a ton of defense played in 17-5A, but Temple looks like they could be a real state title contender.
I agree. Hutto Hippos may cause some trouble in D2 in the bracket there. Now, Livingston and A&M Consol as we move on to the Brazos Valley region, and Consol already up early in this one, 7-0. Then it's Derek Dick. Boy, has he had a great season. Puts the ball in the air to find Cade Williams, 18-yard touchdown. Tigers up 14-0 after the quarter. The aerial attack continues in the second. Mason Hickson going to go up top to guess who? Yep, Derek Dick in for the score, 28 yards, 28-0. And then later it's Tyree Merchant. Nice spin move there around the defender, 41 yards. Consol scored on its first 5 possessions. Yeah, they won big, 63-7 for the Tigers.
This is an A&M consolidated team that I think a lot of people kind of forgot about because they had a couple of early season losses, and they've been up and down. But this is a dangerous team because they've got that explosive weapon in Derek Dick, a guy who can change the game on offense and on special teams. And I think people don't talk enough about special teams, especially in the playoffs. Short, small samples, the special teams can really matter.
We've been talking about teams that are starting to hit their stride a little bit as we get into this postseason. Cedar Park, and then obviously A&M Consolidated, as we've talked about as well. So these are some of those teams that, you're right, Greg, that they might have been forgotten about or fallen out of some high rankings, but don't sleep on them because they're ready to go come postseason. They know what this time of the year is all about.
Another team hit in stride, Abilene Wiley. They were in action tonight with Stephenville, a Jarrett Stidham-less Stephenville, and with a defense with plenty of question marks. We bring you highlights of that one next, plus more playoff bracket projections. It's all around the corner if you keep it here.
Let's mosey on out to East Texas, where Vandals and Kaufman is in town to take them on. It's Peter Maddox who's going to hand off to Alfonso Smith, or Thomas rather, up the middle, a 3-yard touchdown run, 7-0 Vandals. Then second quarter, it's Maddox to Kendrick Jones, who will take it to the right side, and no, he will get down to the 1. They would end up scoring. Vandals go on to win this one big, 31-0. Watch out for Van. That is a team nobody's paying attention to.
Decatur, Graham, both teams 7-2, both teams 4-0 in district competition as they would do battle for an opportunity to win the district title. And for the Steers, well, first of all, it was Decatur's Peyton McAllister with a 12-yard run. Eagles were up 21-20. Back comes Graham, however. Landry Turner to Todd Parker. Graham reclaims the lead, 26-21 at halftime. Steers going to get the win in this one, and Graham and Brownwood will meet in the bi-district round of the playoffs next week. Look at that shootout final. Graham with a 54-48 win over Decatur.
For now, meeting tonight, EP Inch taking on Clint. Inflatable tunnels in full effect as well. And ISO senior night, of course, as well. Andrews Jace Hammock, touchdown pass to Caleb O'Connor. There would put the Mustangs up a touchdown and on the board first. Not much for the Lions to roar about, though. Clint stuffed, nowhere to run there. Andrews then with another touchdown pass. This one with Jace Cordell on the receiving end. Andrews would go on to roll 49-6. In other news, what has happened to Stephenville? Ranked #1 at the start of the season, they looked well on their way to a wire-to-wire domination of 4A Division I. However, a late season loss, coupled with the loss of superstar quarterback Jarrett Stidham, has the Yellow Jackets buzzing no more. They find themselves struggling to get to the finish line, in fact. Could they survive an upset bid from Abilene Wiley, though? Tonight, let's take you to the action that was in Stephenville tonight. Again, Abilene Wiley, as Craig mentioned, hitting stride at just the right time in the first. The handoff to Clay Johnson cuts to the edge and would get in for the score. So Abilene Wiley on the board first. In the third, JT Carey rolls out, finds Josiah Light for the TD. The 2-point conversion there would make it 14-0. So Abilene Wiley rolling by 2 touchdowns late in the fourth. Clay Johnson up the middle for Baylor commits second touchdown of the day. Abilene Wiley goes on to win this one 21-7. Yes, Jarrett Stidham, their star quarterback, the Texas Tech commit being out, was certainly the biggest headline heading into this one. But as Tep mentioned in the early show, Stidham doesn't play defense, and defense has been their question all year. Abilene Wiley certainly take advantage of that.
Well, they did a little better job defensively tonight with 21 points, but I'll tell you what, I don't really think of this as a big upset. I mean, Hugh Sandifer's done a heck of a job with his ball club there at Wiley. They were both 7-2 going in. I don't think we should be shocked by this, especially as Stephenville tries to find itself going into the postseason.
You hit the nail on the head. And the thing about Abilene Wiley is that they do this every year, and we should stop being surprised about it. They've started looking like Abilene Wiley. They run the ball. They play great defense. Clay Johnston, that running back and linebacker, is the perfect embodiment of what Hugh Sandifer wants in his football team. Hard-nosed, grinding, and just getting it done, and they get it done every single year. Let's stop being surprised.
So Stephenville in, and they have wins. A team that doesn't have a win this season, but is in the playoffs. Scarborough, how in the world does that happen here, Craig?
Well, we talked about it last week on the program, that the fact that Houston Scarborough was part of a district that originally was 5 schools, Lamarck and 4 HISD schools. However, Jesse Jones High dropped all of its athletics before the start of the season. What does that leave you with? 4 schools. Well, in 4A Division II, all 4 would make the playoffs out of that district, even if you go 0-10. And that's exactly what happened to Scarborough. They have a long losing streak. Was it 57 in a row now after losing to Kip Sunnyside tonight, 32-8? What's the end result of all this? For the first time ever in Texas high school football history, you will have a winless team, 0-10, going to the postseason. Now, I know the hue and cry is going to come up from across the state of Texas, but how can they do this? How can they water it down and this and that? First of all of these things tend to work themselves out. Scoreboard's going to have its hands full with West Orange Stark in the bi-district round next week. Also, nobody planned on this. When one school drops its entire athletic program, these kind of things can happen. It's just that 0-10 never has happened before.
Exactly.
Some nice little cooler talk for you on Monday. Also, Fort Worth Trimble Tech in for the first time since '89. And some more trivia. Who is now the all-time passing yards leader in the great state? That answer next on High School Scoreboard Live.
We continue on Scoreboard Live to the greater San Antonio and Hill Country region. Tom Moore gets comfort. Those Warriors from Ingram. And it's Kyle Bolin points at himself. Rolling, looking, pointing out traffic in front. Takes it in for the score. And then Tom Moore trying for the Hail Mary here. Deep downfield, and it's caught by Cody Ennis. But you take another look at it. A nice catch in there, but it's... as he goes in there, it's not enough. Comfort with the win, 39-22.
Let's roll out to the Texoma region. Henrietta taking on Wichita Falls City View. We pick up action with Henrietta's quarterback Riley Watson on the keeper up the middle. He will dart into the end zone, 7-0 Bearcats. Then City View responds. Ryan Carr keeps this one and fools everyone, including the cameraman. Touchdown Mustangs, but just too much from Henrietta as Watson will find Cody Fletcher for the bomb into the end zone. Beautiful catch there. Henrietta goes on to win big, 33-15.
We keep it in that region. Gunner against Tom Bean. That's the Tomcats of Tom Bean, but no match for the Gunner Tigers, those other cats, as they were driving early on. Austin Gressett to Danny Hernandez, 7-0. Look at that nice grab. Pretty touchdown there. But on the next drive, Gunner, more points. Trey Carr, the toss to Seth Brewer. He gets it in, and it's all Gunner, 49-7.
And it's Gunner, not Gunter. We learned that in the early show. Let's take a look at the Built for Tough Player of the Week winners in Week 10. Baylor Romney of El Paso Franklin takes it in 6A. Junior Dagan Hahn of Lake Dallas, smart in the classroom with a straight A average. And DeAnthony Hopkins has Cuero in the playoffs with his running ability. Another straight A, Pottsboro junior Zane Pritchett getting it done in the classroom. And in 2A, Hunter Lyle earning yet another honor. More on him in just a second. And in private schools, Dominic Williams of Dallas Parish Episcopal. Congratulations again to all our Built for Tough Player of the Week award winner. Speaking of Hunter Lyle, I don't want to steal your thunder, but he's pretty darn good.
Yes. Okay. I'm very rarely right about anything. Just ask my wife. But last year, Dave Campbell's Texas football pretty much called its shot and said that Hunter Lyle would become the all-time leading passer in Texas high school football history. The Booker quarterback has been doing it for years. He's been a star since his freshman year. And we made him our 2A cover boy in the 2014 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And so, honey, you have to admit for this one, I was right. Hunter Lyle in action with Booker taking on a Wheeler tonight. Booker came ready to play. There he is.
Love those Kiowas.
Love the Kiowa. First quarter, it's going to be Troy Mitchell, though, taking the handoff. They can run the ball a bit, too. Works his way into the end zone. Booker up early. Then Wheeler with the ball now, and a little trickery as Cody Clark moves down the quarterback line, moves down the line. You're Marshall under center, but it does not pay off as Booker's Jervine Belvin Jr. picks it off and takes 30 yards for a touchdown. Booker goes on to win 62-0. Hunter Lyle breaks the all-time career passing record with a 92-yard touchdown pass to his cousin, Jared Reagan. Congratulations, Hunter Lyle.
They're okay. Over in the Coastal Bend tonight, Weimer and Refugio taking each other on. Travis Quintanilla of Refugio once held that title by Lyle, by the way. And this one would be all Refugio, essentially. Quarterback Jalen Moscoro hits Jamie King, and he will take it into the zone to make it 14-0 Refugio. Then more from Moscaro as he lofts this one to a striding Robert Frazier, and I am just far too far ahead of this one. Refugio essentially running away 69-21 over Weimer. And again, as we mentioned, Travis Quintanilla of Refugio once held that record. In fact, broke it last year. So this is just, we continue to see quarterbacks constantly making strides in that pass game, which is fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at him, he is now on top by a whopping 23 yards. That will obviously grow, or 33 yards. I'm pretty good at math. But He is, but you look at how recently it's been broken. 2014, 2013. It's been broken 5 times in the last basically decade and a half. I mean, that's the state of high school football right now. It's pass, pass, pass. But for Hunter Lyle, what a special accomplishment.
And when you can throw the ball like Hunter Lyle does and move the ball like Booker does, the Kiowas have to have a shot in that 2A Division II bracket. 2A Division I, yeah, it's chock full of outstanding teams like Mart, like Refugio, Shiner, Mason, all of the heavyweight teams that you think about in D1. But there are some good teams in the D2 bracket, among those Bremont in the D2 bracket, and a couple others that are really, really good in that D2 bracket. And Booker is one of those
Booker's
teams.
right there, and I'm telling you, they're a favorite in Region 1, and I love what they do, because the thing is, we talk a lot about Hunter Lyle and his cousin, the record-setting wide receiver Jared Reagan. He deserves some praise here, too. But their defense has been very much improved. They used to be kind of a gimmick. They used to just score a whole lot of points but not be able to stop anybody. That's changed this year. They can stop people. They're a legitimate state title threat.
Wow. You could have a 2A Division II state title matchup where you'd have Booker from way up at the top of Texas and then somebody from way down south.
My old stomping grounds up in Canyon, Texas. Hey, if Lyle isn't getting college looks yet, he will be after setting that, at least a few. Up next, hey, we can't forget about Cibolo Steel taking on Canyon and Smithson Valley and Judson. It's all on the other side of this break. Here's Neil Beasley.
Our DQ Big Game of the Week is a good one. It's Friendship High School coming in to play Amarillo, and the Sandys have had a lot to sing about these days.
We'll sing your praise tonight.
Oh boy, and that's because Amarillo is unbeaten, untied, and unbelievable. Wait a minute, but hold on. Friendship High School also unbeaten in district play. They're both unbeaten in district, so as Rick Renner would say, somebody's O must go. Should be a great game. It's Friendship, it's Amarillo, and it is certainly big enough to be our DQ Big Game of the Week.
In Wichita Falls, right, or we pick it up in the second quarter, where Azle quarterback Jamie King is going to keep it right up the middle. I promise you he is. He's going to power up for nothing. I can tell you, let me tell you, Azle won that game 28-21 in overtime.
He had him stunned.
It was
showdown for the District 5-5A title. So Hornets get the district crown.
Yes, the Hornets win the district crown with a 28-21 overtime win in Wichita Falls Rider. I promise it happened.
Meanwhile, up in the Panhandle, my old stomping grounds, also stunned. You see Randall and Canyon here. We pick it up 3rd and 22 when Cade McCallie hits Dakota Puga on the 42-yarder there. What a haul. And later on that drive, McCall fumbles. But Randall's Zach Kaufman recovers the loose ball. The fumble will go on to set up Wyatt Garton with the 22-yard touchdown run as Randall goes on to defeat their crosstown rivals Canyon 21-14, the final there. And again, we welcome you back into the Fox Sports Southwest studios. Now, in the spring of 1922, the Amarillo coach A.S. Douglas coined the school's team nickname as his baseball team practiced in the windblown sand of their playing field in a city park at Jefferson and 3rd Street. Douglas announced that they would no longer be known as the Savages. Their new name would be the Sandstorm. Before the practice session was over, he had enhanced the new name to the Golden Sandstorm, and it stuck 90 years hence, sort of like the DQ Big Game of the Week. Here's Neil Beasley.
Texans know Amarillo for a couple different things. Route 66 and the Cadillac Ranch. On your way to skiing, it's the perfect stop. Or this place, the Palo Duro Canyon. It's incredible. In fact, it's the second largest canyon system behind the Grand Canyon.
The Fox Sports Southwest crew is live in studio here with us.
But everybody talking football in the helium capital of the world.
We were hoping for two things when we got this game back in June, was that both teams would be fighting for the district title, and that is they're undefeated. And the other thing was for good weather, and we got that too.
Because the home team is unbeaten, untied, and unbelievable. The Sandys partying like it's 1999. That's the last time AHS started the season 9-0. But plenty plenty of history to root for. 4 state football titles and 3 in a row back in the 30s. Amarillo hasn't stumbled much at all over the years. One of only 2 Texas high schools with over 750 all-time wins. Once the home of T. Boone Pickens, Sandy's with billions of titles, or so it would seem. Led by the volleyball squad, looking for their 9th state championship and sitting on top of the 6A polls this year after moving up in class. Everybody's showing off their Sandy pride, and why not? U.S. News and World Report, a top 10% high school 2 years in a row. Amarillo used to be known as the Savages, but back in 1922, Coach Douglas and his AHS baseball team were practicing right here at Hazelrig Park when one of those infamous West Texas sandstorms blew in. And from that moment on, and for the last 90 years, they've been known as the Golden Sandstorm. But Friendship High making noise as well. Banned with a state title in 2011. Big school, 2,300 kids, but still a small town feel. Back in 1935, they applied to be Friendship, but Texas already had one, so they were assigned Friendship, and bam, the Tigers were born. Let's go! Head coach Brad Davis following in familiar footsteps. His dad, Bobby Davis, head coach for 25 years here before son Brad took over in 05. And the legacy continues. Grandson Clay Davis, stud receiver for his daddy on this year's team. An active 21-game district winning streak will be tested tonight. But the Tigers have claws, including not 1, but 2 1,000-yard rushers.
Get off the ball. Get off the ball.
But Mel Maxfield has the sandstorm blowing strong all year. Hard not to be great behind blocks of granite like Ty Bustos, Tate Stavenhagen, and Kent Weatherly. They average 280 pounds a man. These boys will not be friendly to Friendship tonight.
I don't want to come home without a gold ball, baby. I love my trophies. Y'all my team. Y'all my family. My brothers. Every one of us is going to make it count tonight. Every one of us is going to show out, ball out. They can't bang as hard as us. They can't hang with us. We going to kill them every play. No mercy. Every damn play.
First half, how's this for an opening salvo? Diaze Johnson on the kickoff return. 84 yards on the return, but Tristan Newton chases him down, so it's just a field goal, 3-0 Tigers. Amarillo answers, 3rd and goal. Matthew Ortega rolls, takes it in himself. He's in the zone. Sandy's storm back, 7-3, up 4. First play after that, how about Ronald Awatt? Turns on the wattage, 73 yards, but he too is caught. And again, settling for just a Thomas Herrera field goal. It's 7-6, 1-point game. But in the second, the Tigers roar in front. 3rd and goal when Scott McIntyre goes up the gut. He's in. 13-7, visiting Friendship at the break. Second half, Sandy's looking for the lead. It's 4th and 2. No, stuffed by Coleman Dennis and Alex Treefall. Friendship ball turnover on downs. Amarillo with only 115 total yards after that first score. Then, after a Grant Sander-Cox fumble recovery, he turns around and delivers on offense. It's 4th and 1, and he's gone.
15, 10, it's a Friendship Tiger touchdown.
65 yards to the house, 19-7, upset brewing. 4th quarter, Amarillo within 5, but the Tigers answer again. A 9-play, 73-yard drive. Sander Cox the honors, 26-14. It's over, right? No, hold on. Anthony Geiger, 2-yard touchdown, 5-point game, but it's late. They'll need the onside kick. It's up? No. Chandler Casey recovered. Ball game. 26-21 your final. Friendship's 4th straight district championship, but their first ever in the brand new 6A competition.
We just came out with a lot of intensity throughout the game, and then once it was halftime, we're like, we got to really just keep this up. So then we came out like just about the same second half.
We knew they had a big offense, we knew they had the good running backs, the good offensive line, but we just anticipated every moment of practice, and we had to get in the weight room, we had to get in and execute everything we did.
We just knew we had to make adjustments, we had to be more physical, our D-line had to come off lower, we had to
get everybody in the right spots, and I think we did that after that first drive.
You know, our kids played their hearts out, and so did Amarillo. It was two very good defenses against each other, and our offensive line, I think, that and the kicking game ended up being the difference.
Hey, whether it's 4A or 6A, it doesn't matter. These Tigers got themselves another goal football. For driver Eddie Horn and our DQ rep David Walker, I'm Neil Beasley with your DQ. Big game of the week.
Once the Savage, now the Sandies. Up next, East Texas gets some love from us. We bring you highlights from that region plus playoff scenarios. That's next on High School Scoreboard Live.
Means Longview, Hallsville to start it off. Lobos ready to go, and that means Desmond Chumley will hand it to Tylen Miller. 8 yards into the end zone on the touchdown. Then, again, the combination works. The quarterback, Chumley, he'll turn to Miller, and he'll take it from there. But the ball is stripped from Braylon Smith, recovered by Hallsville's Lance Hardiman. He'll go 80 yards. This thing went back and forth well into the fourth quarter before the Lobos finally pulled away to win.
How about Cujo Nation hosting Nacogdoches tonight in a big-time battle in 16-5A. 3-0 John Tyler in first quarter. When Hunter McClellan finds Alex Gregory, makes a move, and that is a Nacogdoches touchdown. 7-3 Nac. Could they pull the stunner? Here comes second quarter. Jeremy Wilson takes the toss, makes a couple people miss, cruises into the end zone. It's 10-7 Cujo. They go on to win 44-14. Cujo Nation alive and well, and this is quite a handshake.
One of the teams to vanquish JT this season has been Ennis.
Memorial, two backs. Devin Smith's rolling left, rolling.
And there it is. Yep, the deep route. Dante Thompson, deep and in for the score. Lions up big. Corsicana responds with a deep route of their own. Keyshawn Kelly to Denair Martin down the sidelines. But there were too much from the Lions in this one. Smith puts this nice touch on the pass to Dante Thompson. Ennis wins this one 41-14. So you have two top 10 teams out of District 16-5A.
Yeah, and that's not to mention teams like Lufkin, you know, teams like that, teams like White House who didn't even make the playoffs. 16-5A is as deep as a 5A district as it gets, and a lot of teams like Ennis that I think can win a state title, like Cujo, John Tyler I think has a title shot. If Lufkin gets hot and finds some defense, they could really make a run. Nacogdoches has been a pleasant surprise. This is an absolutely loaded district. There's a lot of consternation when the UIL drew up this district because it dips so far into the Piney Woods and dips so far north into East Texas and into DFW, but it's turned into one of the most entertaining ones in the state.
It is, and we've spent a lot of time, and rightly so, by the way, talking about the lower classifications in East Texas. I mean, nobody is any better than Gilmer is right now in 4AD2. Keep an eye on them, obviously. Carthage is starting to gather itself heading toward the postseason. Kilgore, of course, was trying to right the ship as well. So still, the lower classification East Texas schools are also very capable of winning state titles, as we know.
Just speed. So much speed out there in East Texas.
Interested to get your thoughts on the Austin area. We're going to talk about, obviously, your Hutto Hippos next here on High School Scoreboard Live. Plus, we wrap it up with our favorites entering the playoffs next week. I can't believe it's already here. It's here! And we project next on High School Scoreboard Live.
School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford. Has the best offers on the best-selling trucks in Texas. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By DQ, the stop sign of Texas for the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. Stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state.
All right, our play of the night comes from what Craig says is the game of the night. Two top 10s with bragging rights, district title on the line. Manville, Pearland, and after a Manville touchdown, Pearland with a response. Isaiah Cheney with great blocking by his mates. He returns the kickoff untouched. 95 yards, 9-5, 95 yards, 21-10. Manville in that one. Quickly, guys, looking ahead to playoffs next week. Any favorites jumping out to you? Any sure title winners, or is it completely up for grabs this year?
I defer to the guru.
Well, I think one of the favorites has to be the team we just saw, Manville, even though Pearland scored on the, and keep an eye on Pearland, by the way. Both of those teams dangerous coming out of Region 3, and of course in 6A. In Division I, you have to start with the two-time defending state champion Allen Eagles, but DeSoto will have a say in that. In Division II, you've got Katy, you have South Lake Carroll, you have Cibolo Steele, you have Brennan.
Lake Travis.
Yeah.
You know, and the crazy thing about this is we could be careening towards a Brennan and Cibolo Steele second-round matchup. That's going to really weed things out. You know, in the lower classifications, we've been talking about how it's hard to see anybody other than Martin Refugio meeting in a 2A D1 title game. That's going to be really interesting to see if that plays out. But the biggest favorite, I think, entering the playoffs, you hit it a little earlier, Gilmer. Gilmer in 4A D2. I just don't see anybody slowing them down.
I'll give you. How about Cisco?
How about Cisco?
They hammered Eastland tonight. A really good Eastland team. Looks like the Lobos have.
I like
as our partner Rick Renner would say, Loboed up for the postseason.
Representative Reagan, I like how they dodged my question and just named everyone in the playoffs. They're the brains. I'm just the traffic cop. Craig, I'm Aaron. Thanks for welcoming us into your homes tonight, folks. We'll see you next week for Texas High School football.